Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to take what looks like a super complex technical setup and break it down into a clear step-by-step journey. Yet we're going from a pile of boxes to a fully live VxRail cluster. Okay, let's just dive right in. This is really where the rubber meets the road, the physical foundation. We're talking about taking all these individual pieces of hardware, servers, cables, power supplies, and bringing them together to create one powerful, unified system. This is the absolute first step, way before any software even gets a look in.
So here's our game plan for the next few minutes. We'll kick things off by understanding the hardware, then get hands-on with racking and cabling. After that, a super important health check, then we'll light this thing up and finish with some pro tips to make sure you're ready for anything.
First things first, and this is a big one. You absolutely have to know the specific hardware you're working with. You see, not all VRail models are built the same. They're actually designed for very different jobs, and that's going to influence how you put it all together.
Now this table is awesome because it lays out the whole family for you. You've got the E-Series, which is kind of your all-around workhorse for most things. Then you've got the P-Series for heavy-duty performance stuff, and the V-Series, which is packed with GPUs for things like AI. On the other side, you have the S-Series for massive storage capacity, and my personal favorite, the super tough D-Series, which is built to survive in some pretty harsh environments.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. It's time to get these nodes out of their boxes and into the rack. This whole stage is about building a rock-solid physical base for our cluster to live on.
Now, this isn't just about plugging stuff in, right? Mounting the nodes properly on their rails is key for airflow and keeping things cool. But the real pro move? Connecting each node's two power supplies to two completely different power circuits. That's how you build a system that can survive a power failure on one side without breaking a sweat. And trust me on this one, labeling every single cable now is going to save you a world of pain later.
With our physical base all set, it's time to wire up what I like to call the system's digital nervous system. The goal here isn't just to connect the dots, but to design a network that's fast, high-performing, and, most importantly, resilient.
So the big idea here, and it's a really important one, is traffic segregation. Think of it like a highway with dedicated lanes. You want a separate lane for your management traffic, that's how you control the system, and a different one for your vSAN traffic, which is all the storage talking to each other. This way, a huge data transfer doesn't clog up the road and stop you from actually managing the cluster. We use something called VLANs to create these separate digital lanes.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've basically got two main paths you can take. For bigger clusters, say 4 nodes or more, you'll want to go with the top-of-rack switch design. It gives you the most redundancy and flexibility. But for smaller setups, maybe 2 to 4 nodes, you can actually connect the nodes directly to each other. It's a simpler setup, and you don't even need expensive external switches. It really all comes down to the scale of what you're building.
And hey, before we move on, let me give you a quick but powerful pro tip. On your vSAN and vMotion networks, that's the network that lets you move running virtual machines around, you should enable something called jumbo frames. It just lets you send bigger chunks of data at once. Think of it like sending one big cargo truck instead of 9 little cars. It cuts down on the overhead and can seriously boost your performance. It's one of the easiest wins you can get.
We are so close to liftoff. But hold on. Before we power up the whole cluster and kick off the initialization, we have to do a vital pre-flight check. We need to make sure every single component is healthy and ready for action.
Our magic tool for this is called iDRAC. You know, think of iDRAC as your own personal robot technician living inside each server. It has its own network connection, its own power, so even if the server itself crashes, you can still get in, see what's wrong, and even power it back on from halfway across the world. It's amazing.
You really want to follow these steps to the letter. You'll log into each node's iDRAC, give it a permanent IP address, and then just go down the list, checking the health of the CPUs, the memory, and especially the storage drives. But that last one, step 4, that's the one that'll save you from a world of hurt later on. Making sure the firmware is up to date now avoids so many weird problems down the line.
And now for my favorite part, the main event. This is where we go from being a bunch of separate servers to one single powerful unified cluster. And the best part? It's all automated.
This is where the real magic of VxRail kicks in. You power everything on, and boom, VxRail Manager automatically finds all the nodes. Then you just feed it the basic info, IP addresses, that kind of thing, and you choose your storage policy. You know, RAID 5 or RAID 6. Look, all that means is how you want to protect your data if a drive decides to die on you. After that, you click Go, and the system handles the entire complex build-out for you. It's incredible.
So here's the bottom line. For all this amazing automation to work, you got to do your homework. That automation is smart, but it's not a mind reader. You have to make absolutely sure your network, especially things like DNS and your time servers, are working perfectly before you start. I'm telling you, this little bit of prep work is the difference between a one-click success and a really, really long afternoon of troubleshooting.
The cluster's up and running. High fives all around. But, our job isn't quite done. A successful deployment is really just the beginning. Let's talk about handling some common issues and some best practices for keeping this thing healthy for the long haul.
This table here? This is your new best friend, especially on day one. It covers all the usual suspects. A server won't turn on. A hard drive light is blinking amber. And for each problem, it points you right to the most likely cause, like a bad cable or a simple network mistake, and tells you exactly how to fix it.
These tips might sound super basic, but honestly, they're what separate the pros from the amateurs. Taking your time, labeling everything, and I mean everything, and drawing a simple diagram of your setup turns what could be a chaotic mess into a clean, professional system that anyone can understand. A checklist is your best friend here.
And this is such a vital piece of advice. Let's be real. Hardware will fail. It's not a matter of if, but when. Being ready for that moment is just as crucial as the initial setup. Practicing how to safely pull out a bad drive and pop in a new one while the system is running means that when it happens for real, you'll be cool, calm, and collected, and you won't cause an outage.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. The installation, that's just day one. The real test of success is having a solid plan for day two and everything that comes after. We're talking updates, maintenance, and just general operations. Getting the cluster online is the starting line, not the finish line. The real journey starts now.